What's up, Indiana? Welcome to Indy Sports Nation right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. The Indy Ignite continue to roll. Purdue's men's hoops season comes to end in a heartbreaking fashion. Our Pacers have clinched a playoff spot. All that and more. Thanks for joining. Saddle up. Indy Sports Nation starts right now. Good afternoon. Welcome in, everyone. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to join me. Welcome to episode 27 of Indy Sports Nation right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I am your host, Big Mike. Be hanging out with you for the next hour. Hope you've all had a great week. Hope your week's been as good as mine. You know what? Scratch that. Hope yours has been better. For all my friends here locally in the Indy market and the surrounding cities, hope you're all staying safe. It's been a brutal week of storms here. So be sure, stay safe out there. Be sure to check it on your people. With that being said, we have a lot of sports to discuss, as we always do. The Indy Ignite continue to be on fire. We'll get into that. We'll talk about the heartbreaking loss that was Purdue. That was a tough one. We'll touch on that. Touch on the Pacers. Pacers looking pretty good. I'm excited to talk more about them. And we got some Colts talk this week. Talk briefly about the Indians. Get into the whole transfer portal madness that's going on in the NCAA hoops. We could do multiple shows over that. It's crazy right now. But before we get into it, you know what we got to do. We got to give our love to our amazing sponsors. Planet Jerky. Jerky, it's on a whole other planet. Vital Apparel, Sealed Deal Wax Seals, Raw Nutrition Supplements. So let's, as I always say, let's get these bills paid. We will dive into it on the other side. Thank you once again for taking the time out of your busy day to join me here. Big Mike, Indy Sports Nation right here at IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Man, I will tell you, it is just so awesome to be back here in studio. For those of you that have been watching the past several weeks and been chatting with online and whatnot, you know I've been on the road for was most the better part of 2 months. So it is so good to be back in the studio, hanging out with all of you. So before we get into it, let's show some love to our latest, greatest, newest sponsor, Raw Nutrition Supplements. Go to getrawnutrition.com. Use promo code IESR. Get 10% off that order. Some of the best supplements out there. Go check them out. If you'd be so kind, on the X platform, formerly known as Twitter, many of you are still calling it Twitter, at Indy Sports_IESR is the show page. And give me a smash that follow button. Appreciate you very much. I can follow the old personal account as well at the Chill Mike. And if you're so gracious to become a member of the Supporters Club, $5 a month, Spreaker.com/podcast/Indy-Sports-Nation. If you would be so kind, I know things are kind of crazy out there right now, but there'll be a little gift for in return. We'll see you some swag or gift card, something like that. We'll make it worth your while. If you're watching live, appreciate you all very much. Whether it's on the X platform, YouTube, whatever, keep those comments coming in. Love to interact. Obviously, we got to keep them, keep them PG, keep them sports related, what have you. Much, much, much appreciated. We got one already. My boy Taryn checking in. Good evening. Have an amazing show. Just caught some of his SoCal Sports Show a little bit ago. He does a great job, and definitely have to check out his show Set Point as well. He has a really nice interview with the USC's men's volleyball coach. So that he's posted on X, but does a great job. So give him some support. So let's we'll start a little bit different this week because, as you know, it is now we're in April, and baseball's going, and we don't get to talk a ton of baseball here in the great city of Indianapolis. But we do have a AAA team here. For those of you who are out of market, may not remember, but yes, the Indianapolis Indians, who are the AAA affiliate of the Pittsburgh Pirates. They are underway. In fact, they're going to have first pitch here about 7 o'clock tonight. It's not been a great start for the Indianapolis Indians. It's only 4 games in. So we all know how these things can go. It's 4 games in. It's obviously not near big enough of a sample size. And it's not quite the hoopla that it was this time last year, because for those of you who remember, this time last year, there was some guy named Paul Skeens who was here pitching. Now, granted, he was here for about 10 minutes before they called him up, and for obvious reasons, he's just a phenomenon. What a career he looks to have. I hope Pittsburgh can. Well, they probably won't. You can check. I'm sure my boy Ralph does the injury report. It's our Pittsburgh show. I'm sure he is already dreading that day. But regardless, it's not been the best start. They got the first win yesterday in a doubleheader with Iowa. It was a 7-6 one, so it was one of those nail biters. Had St. Paul to start the season, got blown out 11-0. Pitching has not come out and done very well at this point. They did have one game where it was a 2-1 in there. But overall, so far, it's kind of been feast or famine with them to start the season. They're not going to snarl the ball, or they can't hit it at all. They're pitching fairly well, or they're just throwing up watermelons. But again, it's early. But I will say this, and people here in Indianapolis know this. There's not, and I've been fortunate enough to travel around. There's a lot of great Major League Baseball parks out there. I've been to about 2/3 of them myself. I'm very, very lucky. I've yet to find a minor league park that has a better atmosphere than Victory Field here in Indianapolis. The fact you can go in there for about $10, I think they upped it now, it might be 11 or 12. Bring in your cooler with all your food. Bring your blankets in. Go sit in the grass on a nice summer evening. For that, what great entertainment to bring, friends, family to or whatnot. Yeah, you can't bring your beer in, but you know what? Fine. They got plenty of it there, I promise you. But your boy here will be hopefully spending a little bit more time out there this year. I didn't get near enough last year, but it's just right downtown Indy's beautiful view of the city. If you're from out of market, I'm telling you, put that on your list, man. You got to. It's an awesome place for a game. So we'll dive into more of the Indians here as time progresses and things cool down, especially from the hoops side of things and what have you. But definitely want to give them a mention. They've actually inked a deal with local Fox affiliates, so they're going to be aired a lot more games this year, giving them more exposure, which is good. I've always felt that this is a very underrated baseball city. It's not the market that's going to be able to ever hold a major league team here, but I tell you what, man, even in the down years, the city will come out and support this team and draw 12,000, 13,000. Just imagine the Sacramento A's would love that, or whatever you want to call them. Anyway, so we'll move on from the Indians because one of my favorite stories going on right now is the Indy Ignite, and they just won their 4th straight. And I mentioned on it was last week's show, the week prior. I think it would have been the week prior. Excuse me. They had a tough stretch coming up, playing Omaha and Orlando, the top 2 teams in the league. And not only they do the sweep at Omaha, they got a tough win against Orlando. And this has been a series this year where one team wins the first set, and then the other team makes the adjustments and takes the next 3. That's just kind of been the story of this of these 2 teams at this point. Quick comment coming in here. Rick chiming in, not the same hype as schemes, but watching Bubba Chandler should be fun. You know what, Rick, you're absolutely right. I think there's some great talent there, and with him, yeah, you're right. Definitely not to a Skeens level, but I'm excited for him. So we'll see how that shapes up going on for the rest of the remainder of the year. Back to the Ignite. So as I mentioned, typically what happens when these 2 teams play, first set goes to one team, and then the other team takes the next 3, and that's it. And the last time that was the case, was an Orlando win. However, this is a little bit different. Here we go. We get Indy with the first set, 25-21. Orlando comes back, wins the next 2, 25-20, 25-21, and you're thinking, oh boy, here we go again. And then Indy pulls out the 25-21 4th set to force it to a 5th set. And welcome home, Katie Baird. Mentioned that last week. And her first appearance with the Indy Ignite, holy crap, she was the reason they were able to close out that 5th set. 8 points from her in the 5th set alone to get that 15-11 deciding 5th set, putting the Indy Ignite right now in 3rd place. And a couple very winnable games coming up. And when I say that, I always have to kind of take a step back and go, hey, okay, hold on here, wait a minute. I'm not saying it's a gimme, because they played. They got Columbus coming up here on Sunday. It's in Columbus. Last time they were there was I believe it was a 5-set battle. So who knows? But they got Columbus coming up, and then Grand Rapids after that. Those were winnable games for them. Hopefully, you can see the streak extend to 6, and now you're only 1 game out of 2nd right now, and that's solely because you have played less games. So a lot of excitement here. Teeler for the Indy Night was actually threw out the first pitch for the Indians home opener, which I thought was cool. I liked it. They're starting to get more and more exposure here. You're starting to see more and more of the network starting to cover, and that's what winning will do. We've been saying this here in Indy for a while. It's like we need to see a little bit more winning. It's kind of been a little dry, the doldrums of mediocrity, if you will. But these ladies have turned it up another notch again, and winners of 4 straight. Hopefully they can make that 5 on Sunday in Columbus. So we'll move on. We got a little bit more time before we get into our first break here, but some good news, some more good news, I should say, as we move on here, is our Indiana Pacers have officially clinched the playoff spot. And what I'm saying by that is they're not going to be in a playing game. Currently 4th in the East with a 3-game cushion, and they tip off tonight against Utah. And Utah is obviously not a good team this year. I believe they've got a whopping 16 wins. So this is a game you hope to get, you should get at home. I will see the lineup here. They've injury report came out. There's a Siakam's on there. I think that's just more of maybe a coach's decision, kind of last minute thing. I know they want to get him some rest, so that could be a thing. Matherin's been out, and I'm wondering if it may or may not be a time to bring him back, but it might be, especially if you're going to set Siakam. So we'll see what Coach Carlisle does here. But a couple of things to note from the other night, and I've said this the entire forever since we started doing this show. the orchestrator of this team is Tyrese Halliburton, right? That's not news to anyone. But he just set an NBA record this past the other night. It's his 14th game now with 20 points, 10 assists, and 0 turnovers as an NBA record since they started keeping the stat in 77-78 season. So, holy crap, that's when I was born. So you know it's an old stat. So think about that for a minute. 20 plus points, 10 plus assists, and 0 turnovers. It's a heck of a stat. Heck of a stat. So, and I wanted to give a little bit of love too while I'm at it, because we had George and Zach on here last week talking Pacers, and it was a lot of fun, and big shout out to them, and thanks to them for doing that. We talked a little about Obi Toppin, how we liked his style of play as of late. For those of you who forgot, there's we're not sure what his future holds, just because of the whole Miles Turner contract deal. But he has showed up his worth and then some. No doubt about that. But I had to give a little bit of love to Aaron Nesmith. He has been playing very good basketball, especially since the All-Star break. And some would argue, myself included, that when the win against Charlotte the other night, here he is, I believe, in the fourth, early on, where he got, I think it was 9 or I think even 11, like straight points coming from Nesmith, which essentially kind of iced the game, I think, for the Pacers. And he was a guy that I felt like when he was hurt early in the season that, I felt like some of the fan base men don't know what you got till it's gone kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, we can get through it. Now, brought him back, and it was a little bit bumpy at first, but as of late, he's a guy who can play some defense, and his offensive game's improved, and he's just been playing very, very well. We just hope this continues into the postseason. Because it's going to be needed, because we'll see who the 5th seed is. Right now, it's between the Bucks and the Pistons, and they play each other twice. But between now and then, I think the last 2 games of the season, of the regular season, are against Bucks and Pistons. So it'll be interesting to see who, theoretically here. Obviously, it's not over yet, right? There's still time, still plenty of time. But you look at the Pacers and their schedule. The rest of the way, it's not too bad. We touched on this last week, right? So I'll just kind of go over it real quick here. So obviously the Jazz tonight, which you hope is a win. You would think so. Sunday on the road to the Nuggets. Okay. So let's just chalk that up as an L. We'll just, for the sake of argument here. You come back home Tuesday to the Wizards. Dear Lord, you'd hope you beat the Wizards. And then you've got 3 games left at that point. 2 of them against the Cavaliers, and 1 against the Magic. I would imagine the Magic will be going full throttle because they're kind of that play-in area there. But the Cavs, I think one would probably be safe to say they're going to have the top seed clinched at that point. And heck, the Pacers may have the 4th seed clinched. Who knows? So that'll be interesting. I can't imagine Cleveland's going to go full on there, and I would imagine they're going to rest some guys. So point being is, the schedule going through, the Pacers should, I'm of the things like anything's possible, man, but they should be something here where they should lock up that 4th seed and have a home playoff game against probably Milwaukee or Detroit, which will be an interesting matchup either way. I think I might rather see Milwaukee at this point. Detroit's they can play, but Charlie chiming in, playoff basketball back in Indiana, man, you're absolutely right. And you get him in the month of May too, so hopefully you're getting past that first series. And I want to get ahead of myself. I really don't, because I know Detroit. No, Ivy's out. I get that, but Cade Cunningham's been doing his thing. I still feel it's a series of Pacers should get, regardless of who it is. And then you're looking at May, a potential Cavs Pacers series, month of May going. Yeah, things happening at IMS. There's rarely, if ever, a better time to be in Indianapolis and loving, enjoying Indianapolis sports or Indiana sports than month of May. So playoff basketball, the track's hopping. Like I said, it is top notch. So hoping for that, but don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Pacers just need to take care of business tonight against a struggling Utah team. So With that on the books, we'll get our first break in here. We're going to talk some Colts on the other side. Obviously, some news came out of the owners' meetings this past week, and then we'll get some college hoops as well. Obviously, I would love to hear your Final Four predictions going forward. I know none of our teams are in it, but just for kicks and giggles, why not? So let's get a break in, and appreciate you joining me right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back.
What's up, guys? If you're looking for the best coverage of all Northern California sports, including 49ers, Giants, Warriors, then check out the NorCal Sports Report with yours truly, Andre Fernandez, every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We have guests every single week talking 49ers, Giants, Warriors, Sharks, San Jose Earthquakes, and a whole lot more, plus 3C2A. You do not want to miss this show. So tune in Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Pacific Time to the NorCal Sports Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr., and I'm welcoming you to take another lap with the fastest show on IE Sports Radio. Yes, this is the Extra Mile with me and my co-hosts Christopher Lehman and Michael Ward. We talk everything racing from NASCAR to IndyCar to Formula One to limited hydroplanes, endurance racing, the NHRA, and more. So come join us for an hour of great racing talk and a lot of fun as well on the Extra Mile, Thursdays at 8 p.m. only on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, welcome back in. Once again, if you're tuning in live, thank you so much as always. If you're checking me out on the replay, thank you so much as always. Cannot state how much I appreciate it. Couple more comments coming in. Oh, what's up, Emma? She's right. It's going to be so busy everywhere, but it's going to be awesome. It was like that last year too. You had the Pacers making that great run to the Eastern Conference Finals, and obviously we've got the Sunseal Grand Prix that second weekend in May there, and then of course the greatest spectacle in racing, the Indy 500, which we'll have a lot of coverage on that as it gets closer. With that being said, let's dive in here. We're going to talk a little Colts, and I think just so I'll get this out there now. I believe probably here in about 2 weeks we'll do a kind of like a draft special here on Indy Sports Nation. We'll spend a good chunk of the show talking the draft, and we'll have a couple guests on to kind of break it down a little bit. Just some of the Colts needs, possible guys who could fall maybe to second, third, fourth round guys that are maybe more talented than that. We'll dive into all that. But for this week, I really want to touch on what came out of the owners' meetings this past week. And as many of you have heard, few may not, there's some rule changes. There always are, right? It's always the case. They've changed the overtime rule again, which actually this time I don't mind it. Each team will get a possession. I never liked the overtime where another team didn't have a shot at it. That's just me, and I know some disagree, and that's fine. In fact, I'd love to hear your comments on it one way or another. Obviously, they choose a kickoff rule again, which is needed because it was just boring. I get the safety piece of it; it makes total sense. But it looks like they'll be starting at the 35-yard line on touchbacks, and the idea maybe that they won't just be kicking touchbacks all the time. So we'll see how that shakes out. But But from a Colts perspective, really the news here is Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones will be splitting reps and OTAs and possibly training camp. And this is a narrative that took a completely different direction. Because as we all know here, and for maybe those of you out of market, this is all about the development of Anthony Richardson. He's talented, but he's raw. And we got to give him some time, and all of that. And then all of a sudden, he's hurt, and then starts to change to, well, the best ability you can have in the NFL is availability, which that's true. I don't think anyone's really arguing that. So now all of a sudden, it's go time now. It is absolute go time. You'll see articles come out. I believe it was Stephen Holder from ESPN who covers the Colts. He's here locally. Get a nice piece on this, basically saying, hey, the patience it's kind of wearing thin now. This is kind of a do or die time for Anthony Richardson, and essentially, the franchise for, it's just crazy because they've put themselves in this situation. We all know this. And it's easy. I know it's easy to play, Monday morning quarterback, and I go hindsight's 2020. I understand that. I understand it. But this is kind of where we are here. If Richardson, if he can't beat out Daniel Jones, and look, I know Daniel Jones had a horrible, last year's been pretty bad, and we all know what happened in New York and all that. I get it. But when you look at his career stats, he got a guy who's completing like 65% of his throws. Now, I know some of those went to the other team. I mean, obviously that's not part of the completion percentage, but you know what I mean? I mean, he definitely was not, again, wasn't your best, wasn't the best QB out there. But I'm not trying to sit there and wave this guy's flag. He did get to the playoffs. All right. I mean, granted, you'd say some of that was the talent around him. Sure. Yeah. I mean, you'll have arguments. There's arguments to be made both sides of that, no doubt about it. But if you can't beat out Daniel Jones, if you're Anthony Richardson, you can't beat out Daniel Jones. You're likely your career as a starting NFL quarterback is probably done. I get it. There's been some born again guys, Darnold, Baker. We see what they've done with new teams, and it's kind of revitalized their career. And who knows? I mean, anything could happen. But his time here in Indy is probably going to be done at that point. They're going to know at that point he's not their guy. Their first pick, the fourth pick in the draft, would be a bust, essentially. And then what do you do? And then what happens? You have Daniel Jones comes in, and let's just say, for example, he comes in and, they do another 9-8, which is kind of what we're used to here in Indy. So that means what? Well, you go into the following season without a quarterback. And you're likely picking 15, 16, something like that in the draft. Maybe a little higher, who knows, depending on how it shakes out. You're not going to get a good quarterback at that spot, more than likely. At least not a guy you're going to probably get there and start right away. So now you're basically setting essentially maybe blow it up and start over, because you'd imagine at that point that your GM's probably gone. So you have a new GM coming to town, probably gets another coach. I mean, never know. We've seen that happen before, but typically they want their thumbprint on it. So, we'll see. And then you got to start somewhere, and you have to trade if you want to get up to get a good quarterback, or you're just going to sandbag another season. A lot could go bad here. And all of a sudden, the feeling around here is kind of it's with a little bit of optimism, because you hear some things like Ayer's doing this, Ayer's doing that. So now it's kind of like, I'm not so sure. Now I'm a little worried. But you also got to understand the Colts are going to, they're going to do their selling, to you through the media, right? I mean, they're going to sit there and say, yeah, it's competition. That's what we need. It's what you've been wanting. It's what we need. And then, could be AR. I think it's going to be AR regardless to start. We'll see. Could have been wrong before. But, we'll see. What if he hasn't improved? Mind you, he has a completion percentage of like 50%. I think it's actually a tick under. It's the worst in the league by a lot. Like the next worst, I believe, is 60% completion percentage. So he is the worst by a lot. So he has to get that part better. And I'm not saying he needs to go from 50 to 60 next year. But I do think he needs to go to like 56, 50, 58. He's got to make that jump. It's got to be significant. And he's got to stay healthy. Otherwise, we could be in there with Daniel Jones. And at that point, as a Colts fan, you just have to hope for the best, or just hope he just tanks. Because the last thing you want is another year of mediocrity. But again, Colts put themselves in this position. I get, and as I said, I know, I get it. Hindsight 2020, I understand. They thought after the Luck retirement, they could essentially, Band-Aid it, and we'll just Band-Aid the quarterback position, the most important position in sports. Okay. Tried some things, didn't work. Got Uncle Phil Rivers in here, thinking they're going to have him for 2 years. He came in, won, got to the playoffs, early exit, and he retired. So you do the Carson experiment, and that backfired. And now here we are. So it, we'll see. I mean, the thing for me is I'm hopeful that Anthony's putting the work in that they say he's putting in. We won't know until, the OTAs and training camp, whether that's the truth or not. They're going to say he is just to make you feel better. I'm not saying he's not. But they're going to say all the right things just to make you feel better. And, we'll see. We'll see where it goes. Want to get into one more quick thing here before we get our final break in. There's going to be college hoops pretty much the rest of the way. But I wanted, and I put up on the show page this past weekend how it was not a good weekend for college hoops here in Indiana, and it was not. And I want to start with this one real quick before we get to a break. Notre Dame is that, and I have been waving this flag. I've been waving this flag the entire existence of this show, saying this was a Final Four team, and they were. I thought they should have been, and they obviously are not. They were eliminated by TCU this past weekend, 71-62. And this is no knock on TCU. TCU has obviously proven they're a very good basketball team. They're one absolutely very good basketball team. It's just funny how this thing kind of repeated itself in the first matchup. And that first matchup was early in the year, so whatever. I just really felt going into this game that Notre Dame would be like, okay, yeah, you know what? We got this. I just felt like Notre Dame was playing. I kind of felt like they started finding their rhythm a little bit again. And yikes. That fourth quarter again. I mean, you cannot let Van Lith just go off on you. She is there. She puts up 26 points on you. She drives the Horned Frogs. And now, granted, Hidalgo, again, All-American type player, had the worst time to have probably the worst night of her career. I mean, made 0 3-pointers, which is very uncharacteristic. Shot 3 of 19 from the field. The team and from the field shot 31% and 20% from three. That's not going to be a lot of good teams. I don't care who it is, but they were there. They at one point had a 9-point lead, but then in that fourth quarter, man, play some defense. Play some defense. That's the one thing that they was, man, way back in the day when I played a little bit of hoops, that was the one thing our coaches always tell me, hey, if the shots aren't falling, because you have those nights, you just have those nights where shots are not going in, pick it up on the defense. And that is not what Notre Dame did, especially in that fourth quarter. TCU just doing whatever they wanted. There was no help side defense when it was needed. Just, it was stunning to me, and it was just so disappointing. This is the one, I mean, the other loss that we suffered here in India was a heartbreaking loss. This one was just a disappointing one. It's like, what happened? Like, how'd this happen? And then to put salt in the wound, Olivia Miles announces that she's not going to go in the draft, but instead, the WNBA draft, she's in the portal. So that backcourt, which have been stellar most of the year, is no longer there. I mean, Hidalgo is there, but Miles has entered the portal. So it'll be really interesting to see what Coach Ivy does going forward. It feels like everyone else, well, again, the window's still open. Who knows? He'll be returning. But that was of all the portal talk we've seen in the state of Indiana so far, I think that was the one that kind of caught me probably by the most surprise. There had been talk early in the season, preseason, I should say, that they wasn't sure those two could, share. I thought they had done pretty good. So maybe there was some underlying stuff there. I don't know. Or it could be the portal and just what it is now. So tough way for Notre Dame to end the season. But they'll be back. They usually are. They're always contenders. So I have no doubt Coach Ivy will get them back where they should be. So on that note, let's get our last break in for the evening. We'll get Purdue and IU on the other side. Indy Sports Station right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the 08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies.
And your one-timers.
You wicked wristas.
And be sure to protect your five-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode.
Hey, yo, what's good, Georgia? It's your boy ACS, and if you love sports from the Peach State as much as I do, then Georgia Sports Central is your one-stop destination for down south sports, courtesy of IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Are you a Yellow Jacket at heart, or do you bleed the red and black of the Bulldogs? Do you keep it true to Atlanta with Trae Young, Capella, and the boys? Do you rise up with the Dirty Birds on Sundays? Are you excited to see what the future holds for Michael Penix Jr., Bijan, and the rest of the Falcon squad? Do you live at 755 Battery Avenue? Do you rep for Albies, Acuna, and the rest of Braves country? If so, then let's get united every Wednesday for some Braves, Hawks, UGA, Georgia Tech, Atlanta Dream, Falcons, and more on Georgia Sports Central, only on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, welcome back here. Final segment of the show. Before I forget, and while you get some time, go to check out our website, isportsradio.com. Check out the all the great swag we have on there, and check out all the other hosts on this great platform. We get you covered from sea to shining sea, as you know, and some good out of market perspective that you typically won't get anywhere else. So. Appreciate that. Check them all out. Let's get to. I'll save the sad part for the end, I guess. Although some may argue that this is a sad part because, depending on what side of the fence you're on here, the Indiana Hoosiers, and I'm basically talking both women and men. can't even field a team right now. And yeah, it's. And I'm not even. This is okay. This is mean. I'm sorry, IU. They even put a team on the court right now. I'm sorry. Look, they're going to. It just kind of goes without saying, but I think one of the more disappointing ones, and I'll start with the ladies first, is Garcon, who is in the portal. But they did get Chloe Spring, who was a Miss Basketball, coming here. So she was in Alabama this past year. So look, I mean, it's funny, and it's not because I'm actually trying to make fun of Indiana fans or anything like that. It's not it at all. It is just, I think what's kind of funny about it is just where the landscape of college basketball and kind of where it is, and the fact that this transfer portal NIL thing is just a real thing, and this can happen. This happens to other teams. It's just here, you're like, how in the bleep is Indiana basketball like have no players? Not true. They don't have. I mean, they have a few players, but right now they couldn't. It's crazy. And so there's been some news with the men. So I'll jump back to the men here. So Tucker DeVries, who's the son of new head coach Darren DeVries, has officially committed. He's coming, which we all knew that. We all knew that was coming. And he's a solid player. He'll be a nice piece for Indiana. They got Trent Sisley. He'll be coming as a freshman. Pretty good player here in the state of Indiana. And you're hearing people in Bloomington already talk about how great he is. He's a freshman. He's going to be a contributor, sure. I think it's going to take him a little bit, but he'll do some things. I think he can do some good things. We'll see how this team shapes up though too, right? You get Connor Enright transfer from DePaul. I don't think that's I don't think anybody's like I think the big loss was you didn't get Ryan Cromwell, who was Indiana State kid in that magical NIT run. Went to Xavier, was third team All Big East, and committed to Louisville. The understanding is Louisville supposedly threw quite a bit of money there, and I don't. It's not that IU doesn't have the money, because they do. I just think that they may have been like, yeah, we're not going to give you that much. But there's still some talent out there in the portal, and we'll see what happens to Luke Goody. Goody. Wow, it's been a long week. But with Goody, he's filed an exception to see if he can get another year. We'll see what the NCAA says on that. If they deny him, the talk is he has got lawyers at the ready. I don't know if the NCAA wants to deal with that after the settlement that will be coming out. I believe sometime, or talking maybe next week after maybe. We'll see. I just don't know they want that negativity out there. They want to go through that. Who knows? They're unpredictable at times, I tell you. But I'd say, I mean, right there, that's kind of where we're at. But again, DeVries was spotted at the state finals, and people were losing their mind about it. And it's good PR in the state of Indiana. It was a good thing to do. Woodson really never did it, which I thought was silly. You know what? Because that was Indiana. That's Indiana basketball. I mean, that's always been kind of one of the things. It's like they get these great kids from around here. That goes way back. And now that team's Purdue, who's getting a lot of the Indiana kids, which is just kind of a little 180 going there. But good on him for doing that. I also made the joke that, he has to because he needs players. Because right now he doesn't have any, but he'll get there. I mean, the NIL budget's huge. He'll get some guys. And I imagine they'll battle next year. I think, again, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But, Indiana basketball is going to be fine. I just don't know they're ever, and with this day and age, I just don't know they'll get there to where the glory years that they had back in the late 70s and the 80s and early 90s, even the mid 90s. So, but crazier things have happened, right? We just don't know. It's just a whole different game now. Whole different. Just everything about us different. So I'll keep you posted on what happens if IU going forward. I will say that Malik Renew is going home, so he is he's going to Miami, which I don't think surprised a lot of people. We'll see who the rest of them end up. I mentioned last week Cubs is at Ohio State, but at this time I'm not sure anybody really cares. I think they just want to see who Indiana's bringing in and what DeFries can do. So, with that, we'll go to the last and probably the most heartbreaking topic for a lot of you out there, and maybe for some of you it's really funny. I guess going back to what side of that you're on. Purdue falls into Sweet 16, 62-60 to the top seed or the number 1 seed, Houston Cougars. Much to the pleasurement of a fair amount of IU fans and also my boss on my full-time gig. I said last week that this was going to be a tough matchup. Just from a matchup perspective, it's going to be a tough one for Purdue. And they had to do a couple of things. They had to take care of the ball, which they did. They did a good job, I thought, taking care of the basketball. Especially against a very good defensive Houston team. And they had the rebound to the point where it was close. You were not going to out-rebound Houston, but you had to keep it close. It just wasn't quite close enough. And I'll get to that here in a sec. But what was so heartbreaking about this is Purdue played good enough to win that game. Now, sidebar, I'm going to rail on the national media here for a second because the national media is awful. Awful. And I'll backtrack slightly. I'll amend that a little bit. Not all of them. I'm not trying to all of them, although some of you may agree that my first statement might be correct. But I'm talking halftime, the halftime show, the pregame show, whatever, yada, yada. Talking about that was the best Purdue played all year. Are you drunk? I mean, that's this way. Tell me you don't watch Purdue basketball without telling me you don't watch Purdue basketball. Are you guys kidding me? That was definitely not the best I've seen Purdue play. Y'all remember that Michigan game? The first Michigan game when they just came out and just rocked them out. Michigan just punched Michigan in the mouth. Michigan didn't have an answer. That was done. Game over. Just came out and steal after steal, shot after shot, just beat them to every loose ball, just up and down the court, man. It was just like, okay, where's this Purdue team been? There's a few other examples I could throw in there too. Purdue wasn't shooting the ball well. Could argue that's partly Houston's defense. Okay, all right. Purdue's effort was definitely there. It was. But I was just sitting there going, what? That's the best? Stop it. That's just, someone's watching, like, reading cliff notes off somewhere. It's just ridiculous to me. But anyway, I digress. It was the effort was definitely there. They played well enough to win the game. I thought before I get to what you all know I'm going to get to, I felt the officiating in the game was bad for both teams. To be fair, I just did not like these group of officials. I thought they did not do a good job in my eyes. For either team. So I guess you had some consistency to a degree because they were just bad in general. But the play at the end, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the inbounds play, which kudos to Kelvin Sampson drawing up that play. I mean, kudos to Houston. That was good on them. But y'all know I'm talking about the push off on Braden Smith. That gets called 9 out of 10 times. And the one time was that time. I've felt that. I'm sure I've seen it called. Nothing comes to memory, especially when it's against a first-team All-American. We all know that typically the good players like that get those calls. That's any sport, no matter what. And he didn't get it, and I was like, my jaw dropped. I'm like, what? So that was a missed call. Yeah. And even when my IU friends are texting me going, yeah, that was a foul. And these IU friends of mine, trust me, they don't like Purdue. Not that they like Kelvin Sampson either, but they definitely don't like Purdue. And see, a lot of people chimed in, I've commented with on the platforms, mostly all great. Even the diehard IU fans were like, yeah, it was a foul. I'm glad Houston won, but it was a foul. But here's my flip side with that. And not to mention, by the way, they missed a goaltend earlier, which should have been a basket for Purdue. It wasn't. So there's another thing. But at the end of the day, here's where I'm going to flip it a little bit. They missed a shot. You got to rebound. You got to get possession there. You got to anything you can do to get possession there. And I know you can't foul there. I get it. But that was the difference to me. I believe Houston out rebounded by, I believe it was 10. If you could have kept that, think about it, 7. It's probably an extra couple possessions. Might have been all you needed. We were not going to out rebound Houston, but you needed to keep it close. And it wasn't quite able to keep it close enough. But still a heartbreaking way to go. I think as someone myself who cheers for Purdue, just a tough one to see because they did play well. They played hard, and played good enough to win the game in my eyes. And I've said that's Purdue's MO. You rarely see them beat themselves. They've had games here and there, sure, but tough one to go. And then especially how you see Tennessee play that next game. You're like, my word, you're like, Tennessee couldn't hit water from a boat. So you're thinking, we could have been in the Final Four again. And a down year, but here's the thing, Purdue fans, you're in good hands. I saw some people the other day going, in Painter we trust, ? No, in Painter you trust. Okay? Trust me on this. This was supposed to be a down year. And you lose your big man, your rim protector, second game of the season. So you got to change your whole philosophy. You got to go from having that big 7'4" rim protector. Now, I'm not talking about Indy for those of you out of market. Daniel Jacobson, the freshman, was coming in. Second game, breaks his leg. He's done. He'll be back next year, which is good. He needs to get bigger anyway. Let's be honest. But you're in good shape. Real good shape. Let's go into that because I saw the things in Painter we trust ? Well, Brian Waddell, he went to the portal. Well, he was a walk-on who got a scholarship, and his dad played there, so cool. I mean, he didn't see the floor much, fine. You knew that was going to happen. Wilberg, of course he's going to go to the portal. He was, quite frankly, he's been terrible. Colvin, I think Miles Colvin surprised a few people. And as some people really liked him, he had some moments. I just feel he was a little consistent. And mind you, the thing about harping on Purdue all season was their bench play. They wouldn't get enough out of their bench, and he was part of that. So he goes in the portal. Mind you, his sister played volleyball at Purdue. His dad's a Purdue guy. I think that's just a mutual thing in my eyes. I think that's just like, hey, the Painter's a no BS guy. He'll just tell you straight up. And so I think that's probably just what was best for both sides, and that's okay. Cam Heide going in the portal, I was a little more surprised by that one. Not shocked by any means, but I felt like he could maybe still fill a role there off the bench. But he's also in the portal. However, shortly after all this, CJ Cox, Harris both put out statements saying we're staying, we're here. CJ Cox for me was the one. I was like, all right, just make sure he stays. He has a potential to be a starter next year, a full-time starter next year, and I think he might. We'll just see how the portal goes. But the big news is Oscar Clough, 6'11" forward. Played at South Dakota State last year, Washington State the year before that. Will be in a Purdue uniform next year to play alongside Trey Kaufman-Renn, who theoretically could go, declare for the draft, not hire an agent. Everything I'm hearing at this point doesn't sound like that's in the cards. He was third-team All-American, like I mentioned, so I guess he could, but I don't see that. Everything right now kind of has him coming back, Lawyer coming back, and the hot rumors initially, Braden Smith was going to go in the portal. I saw it being reported by some sources that were not good sources. A couple of them apologized. Great. If it was about money, Braden Smith would have left last year. He had offers last year to leave, and he didn't go. He's got about $2 million in NIL money. The dude's a competitor. He wants to win. And with he's got coming in, next year, you're going to have, again, another big man, so they need help rebounding. They got help right away. I know some will say, well, we played at a mid-major. They played Alabama this year, and he was 22 and 15. 22 points, 15 boards against Bama. Bama was pretty good this year. that's kind of the guy. He's a double guy for you. So you need somebody else to give, TKR a little bit of help. Painter says he'll be a little bit more active in the portal. I think he's got to be. Like to see them get a wing, perhaps. We'll see what he does. But right now, he's got a starting 5 in my eyes. He'll add to it because he's about competition. He's always been about that. So, but Purdue fans, you're going to have the core, I think, back. There is talk. I've seen some reports that Braden could, get into the draft, not hire agent, just for an evaluation standpoint. That would make sense. I don't think anybody would hate him for that or be mad at that. Kind of do what Edie did. Just, and then it's a nap. Nope, run it back. But his Instagram posts leads you to think he's coming back. Nothing's been officially said, but I think he's back at the end of the day, regardless of how it comes about. So you're going to have an All-American point. You have experience with Lawyer, you're going to have experience with TKR, CJ Cox with more experience, obviously Clough, and whoever else they add. Purdue fans, you're in a pretty good spot. They're in a spot where I think, again, a lot's going to happen between now and then. Could this team make a potential another Final Four run? I mean, who knows? But you're going to get some pieces, and some pieces back. So Purdue fans should be really excited. Tough way to go out, but kind of is how it is. So with that being said, that's going to do it for us today. We'll be back here in the studio again next week. This is crazy. I'm so excited. I cannot stress how happy I am to be back in studio. Appreciate the comments, whether they've been here or on the old social media apps. Thank you very much. So Big Mike here signing off. We'll see you back here next week, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Indy Sports Nation right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Have a great weekend, everybody.